Hey, it's Issa, and today I'm going to be telling you about one of the most terrifying experiences in my entire life. You know it, you love it, your wisdom teeth removal. The thumbnail is not clickbait, you'll see what I mean in a bit. If you haven't had the pleasure of getting your wisdom teeth removed, chances are you're probably going to have to do it in the future. Here's my experience. But first, before we get into that, let me quickly talk about what I'm going to be drawing for the rest of the video. This is a cover for my work-in-progress animated series called Virtually There. It's about a group of weirdos who work in a VR cafe. Don't worry, I'll make this quick. First we have Ari. She's sweet and joyful, and she just got a job at a VR cafe, whilst never having played or touched a video game in her entire life. Then we have Flynn, someone who thinks he's much cooler than he is, but he's also very shy and reserved, though he has a softer side. Then we have our tomboy manager named Ray, who doesn't really know what she's doing manager-wise, but is trying her best and just going with the flow. And then finally we have Ivan, the lovable goofball who's mostly just there to work and hang out, but mostly the hangout part. Okay, enough with that, on to the traumatic story. The day started just like any other day would. I was a junior in high school and was getting ready to go to school. However, unlike most days, there was a looming sense of dread hanging over my head. The only thing that made this school day different than any other was this one little fact. Right after my fourth period lunch, I would be checked out early from school to go to the dentist to get my wisdom teeth taken out. Activate panic mode. I got almost nothing done that day, and I could hardly think straight. I do not have a good track record when it comes to surgery, and not because anything has ever gone wrong, but just because the very idea of going under for any period of time terrifies me. I'm also scared of needles unless they're for sewing, so that doesn't help either. By the time the dreaded lunch period arrived, I was put into fight or flight mode. I literally could not think straight. My boyfriend at the time was trying to comfort me in our little corner of the lunchroom, but I was not having any of it. By the time the lunch lady called my name to go to the office, I was almost shaking. Yeah, I know I was a wuss, but I'm just being honest. On the drive to the doctor's office, I'm still kind of shaken up, and my mom keeps telling me not to worry. I'm trying my best not to. Honestly, I have a very high tolerance for pain, and the pain was not what I was worried about at all. I also don't cry over much, so this was also very new for me. I'm mostly just scared of being under while people are doing stuff to me. I just feel like something's gonna go wrong and I'm gonna be out of it. Dumb fear, I know, but whatever. The car ride comes to a close, and we finally get to the office. Sitting in the waiting room, I'm finally starting to calm down. I kept repeating to myself, this is a common procedure. Everyone has this or will have it at some point in their life, and almost everyone makes it out fine. I suddenly envy my friend's mom, who happened to not even get her wisdom teeth removed because her mouth could actually fit it. I really wish that was me right now. But either way, my breathing had slowed, it was all gonna be okay. Then, a guy around my age and his dad walk into the waiting room to join us. Since he looked around my age, I almost wondered if he was coming in for the same thing. My mom is pretty talkative, so she and this guy's dad started talking, and it turns out he was here to get his wisdom teeth removed. At least I'm not the only one, I thought. Then his dad suddenly looked distressed. He said he and his son had already been there once to get his wisdom teeth out. They needed all 4 removed so that way he could get braces. But after getting the surgery done and then going back to the orthodontist, they said they still couldn't put the braces on because one of his wisdom teeth was still in his mouth. Yes, they forgot to take out one of this guy's teeth. All the panic I was previously feeling washed right back. How do you forget a tooth? Literally just count them at the end. What? I suddenly asked them if this is the same place that forgot to take out one of his teeth. Surely they'd pick another place if this surgeon messed up or something. Nope, this was the same place that forgot one of his teeth. Just great. Turns out because they paid to have 4 removed, they were gonna do this second surgery for free because they forgot the first time. How reassuring. At least we know we won't have to pay for more if they forget something very vital during my surgery. Oh my god, I am panicking again. Like I said, this is a major phobia of mine. Obviously, this is not smart cognitive thinking. I probably didn't even have the same surgeon as this guy. There was no need for this to make me so much more scared, but I was freaking out even more now, nonetheless. I know you're probably thinking, Issa, this is still clickbait because this didn't happen to you. Just wait. My story gets worse in a different way. Okay, quick PSA warning, in case you're scared of needles, I'm gonna be very brief. I'm sitting in the chair and I'm getting major deja vu. The only other time I can vividly remember getting an IV was when I had my tonsils removed. And I remember they put it in and it burned all the way up my arm and it was so painful, memorable kind of painful, and I didn't want to go through that again. After they put in the IV, I am crying. I'm just bawling. It's so embarrassing thinking back on now, but we can look back at our past selves and laugh. What's interesting is the doctor said that crying is a common side effect of the type of anesthetic he was giving me, but that people don't usually cry until after they come up out of the surgery, so he was actually concerned that something was going wrong, oh my god, why are you crying? Is something going wrong? Is everything okay? I don't think anything was going wrong. I think I was just being a wuss. Boom, I'm out like a light. Then I wake up and I feel pretty normal. And I had no pain, not even a little bit. Maybe take this with a grain of salt because I have a pretty high pain tolerance, but I felt fine. I actually felt abnormally normal. I remember seeing a bunch of weird clips of people coming out of wisdom teeth surgery and being loopy and weird, but I remember just being completely normal. According to my mom, I was not normal, but she can't really remember what I said or if I said anything funny, so sucks to suck there. We should have taken a video. Anyways, we walk out of the office, past the boy in the waiting room who is still sitting there with his one tooth, and we make our way to the car. After we get home, I look in the mirror. Turns out I was dripping with blood and gauze, and no one bothered to tell me. I can only imagine what the dude in the waiting room was thinking, watching me walk out, blood dripping from my mouth, being like, oh, guess I'm next. Now we're getting to the worst part of the story. The doctor gave us a general timeline of when I should be switching out the gauze shoved in the back of my mouth, and I was like, alright, okay, fine. But I have some weird sensory stuff, so I kept chewing up the gauze, and then it got all gross, and then I was like, oh no, I gotta switch it out. So I was constantly switching out my gauze. I actually thought it was better, because I was like, it's like a Band-Aid. You don't want to leave an old Band-Aid on it. This is an open wound, so same principle, right? Wrong. Do not do that. I ended up giving myself dry sockets. So apparently, constantly changing out gauze in reality is equivalent to forming a scab and breaking it, forming a scab and breaking it, over and over and over again. So it was probably one of the most painful experiences I've ever been through. Again, I have a really high pain tolerance, and it was bad. I actually looked it up, and it's related to nerve pain, so maybe that's why it was so intense. It started slowly, but then the pain slowly snowballed into something totally unmanageable and really painful. We're not going to get too graphic, but let's also say that there was a lot of red constantly flowing out of my mouth as well. We called the doctor, we didn't really get a response, I don't know if it was busy or something. My mom Googled it, and apparently you can put green tea bags on stuff to make it stop bleeding, but I'd have to bite down on the tea bag for at least 30 minutes. Considering my aching jaw, that was the last thing I wanted to do. I remember putting the green tea in my mouth, pulling up a PewDiePie video that was exactly 32 minutes long, laying down on my bed and telling myself, okay, by the end of this video, you'll be better. You just gotta make it through this video. It was not only one of the most painful feelings of my life, but also probably one of the most miserable YouTube watching experiences I've ever encountered. Suffice it to say, I was watching more of the red bar at the bottom than the actual content of the video. I don't know what I was expecting. After that night, the bleeding finally stopped. I actually wasn't that swollen until the next day. Holy crap, I swelled into a chipmunk. I am not putting that image on the internet, I do not need that out there, but I'll draw a picture for you. Here, I was round as a butterball. I got better in around 4 days, but I didn't go back to school for 5 because I wanted the swelling to go down. You know, high school people can be judgmental, at least in your head they're judgmental. I actually have relatives that turned black and blue all over their chest when they got their wisdom teeth taken out, so thankfully that didn't happen to me. When the swelling finally subsided, I walked into school. Okay, at least I look normal now. I know I skipped a day of school. At least I don't look like a chipmunk. I walk into my weight training class, and the first thing my teacher says is, "Did you get your wisdom teeth taken out?" So the swelling didn't go down as much as I thought. Okay, there's one more arc to this story to wrap it up in a nice bow. Yes, this keeps going. After around 3 weeks, I still couldn't open my mouth all the way, and I thought that was weird. The doctor said it would take maybe 2 weeks to heal, max, or to get completely back to normal. I couldn't open my mouth. Like, I could, but it felt like it was popping or something felt wrong when I would open my mouth. Not necessarily painful, but not correct. So we go back to the doctor, and he sits me down in the chair, and he's like, okay, can you open your mouth as far as you can? And I'm like, okay, and I do it. I think he was about to write me off because he was like, no, that looks like the normal amount that you should be able to open your mouth. And I was like, no, I really don't think so. It's painful, it's weird, and I don't think it's right. And he was like, okay, I'll take a look. Turns out I had an infection. Very fun stuff. He ended up prescribing me antibiotics, but he was like, if this doesn't work, we might have to go into surgery to, like, remove it or pop it, or I don't know. I don't want to get into it. Ugh. But that really freaked me out. I really didn't want to go back to surgery. I didn't want to do any of that. Ugh, I hate dentists. I hate surgery. I hate mouth things. Why can't teeth just cooperate? Why are wisdom teeth even there if there's no room for them? Anyways, I take the antibiotics. I think it was like a month's worth, and the infection went away. I officially have no wisdom teeth, and I can open my mouth fully. Woohoo! Story's over. Yay! I have one last little funny story for you. My mom said that the nurses told her that the surgery would take around 20 minutes, and at the time my mom was like, that doesn't sound like a lot of time. Like 20 minutes for 4 teeth? That's so fast, what? And after I went under, my mom was waiting in the waiting room, and it did take around 20 minutes. To me, I'm just like, maybe 20 minutes isn't long enough. You have another kid in the waiting room who only has 3 of his teeth out. Maybe you need more than 20 minutes to do this surgery, you know what I'm saying? Okay, finally over. I like how this commentary has nothing to do with these characters at all, but if you want to see more of these characters, I have a bunch of animations linked in the description below. One of them I actually hired voice actors to do a custom thing. Very fun. Go click that. Tell me about any of your crazy dentist stories in the comments. I'll consider reading them. I might get kind of freaked out, but if you want to, absolutely share. These are all the members. Thank you so much to them, and I'll see you next time.